He went live to break up with me. I watched the notification pop up and felt my stomach drop the way it did when a plane hit turbulence. Alex had always loved drama for content. He loved being the center of attention, but this time he opened his camera and started narrating our end like a confession tour, accusing me of cheating and playing the footage for his 30,000 followers. The first thing I did was not cry. I sat on the couch and let him talk. People poured into the comments like ants. My phone buzzed so hard I dropped it. My sister texted 5 question marks. Mia, my best friend, called and left a message. Get out of there now. But I was already up and walking toward his apartment because the thing about his live was that it was all about control, controlling the angle, the caption, the narrative. He wanted to be the victim. He wanted to make himself famous by making me the villain. Alex had built himself into a brand for years. He sold fitness plans and motivational talks between staged, real-life videos. He coached me on how to look authentic on camera. At first, it was fun. Then it was constant. Weddings, fights, our apartment, my birthday, every private thing was content, unless I refused. When I pushed back, he said I didn't get it, that we were partners in the brand. That line blurred everything. My anger toward him had been slow and quiet until the night he chose to go live and weaponize his followers. When I opened his door, the live was still running. He was sitting on the couch with his phone on a tripod, the ring light painting his face too white. He was dramatic, but he wasn't crying, he was theatrical. He pointed at the camera and told the audience he had proof I was cheating. He recited dates and invented small details with the skill of someone rehearsing a monologue. People were typing, sending hearts, asking for receipts. Alex smiled. I turned the live off my own phone and walked into the room. He didn't look surprised. I guess he'd expected me to be gone, to have fled the scene so the pinned story would be his forever. I sat down opposite him and asked him to finish. If he had something to say it. He laughed and told the audience he didn't want to shame me on a private level, but he wanted the truth out there. Then he did something reckless. He leaned toward his TV, rearranged the tripod slightly, so the phone captured a wider angle toward the mantel. He thought wider meant more dramatic. He didn't notice the way the TV screen reflected his phone. He spoke like a victim. He said I'd betrayed him, and he deserved answers. Friends began siding with him in real time. The comments filled with outrage. I felt my hands go cold. When he paused to breathe, his manager texted him. The manager's name popped in the reflection of the TV like an apparition. A chat bubble showing the words plan, check, breakup live, blame her, sympathy spike, sponsor mention. He glanced at the reflection as if checking a mirror, typed back yes, hit send, and then turned his face to the camera to keep the story going. Someone in the chat froze the image. A viewer noticed the reflection, took a screenshot, and then another person posted it in the comments. The manager's messages were legible in the reflection. Schedule live, accuse, monetize, keep the sob story simple. Hundreds of people started writing the word staged. The tone in Alex's face fell for a microsecond, and then he smoothed it into anger, accused his followers of being biased, and tried to delete the stream. I felt an odd, cold rush of vindication. But it didn't last. He hit delete, and the feed blinked away. For a terrifying minute, I thought deleting would erase everything. Then my phone exploded. Screenshots had already been saved by dozens. Someone had re-uploaded the train of messages to another account. The narrative flipped in seconds. People who had been sending "I'm so sorry" messages now typed "apologies for believing him." News accounts pinged me for comment. My DMs filled with support offers and conspiracy theories. I tried to breathe. The next day felt like standing in the middle of a hurricane. Alex posted an apology that sounded like an actor reading a script. He blamed a hacked phone and deleted his manager's number. Some of his sponsors pulled contracts immediately. A local podcast invited me to speak. I thought it was over. I thought the truth, the reflection, was bulletproof. Then his team struck back in a smart, quietly cruel way. They hired a lawyer who sent me a cease and desist, claiming I had defamed Alex by sharing private messages. A petty, anonymous account started reposting edited clips of our old videos where I looked cold or awkward, captions framed to make me look unhinged. One of my freelance clients called and said the brand didn't want any controversy and would be cutting ties until things settled. My inbox filled with angry, anonymous threats. People I thought were allies told me I should just lay low. This was the false victory the moment I thought truth would be enough. It wasn't. Social media is a war zone where truth is a strategy, not a shield. His team had resources and willingness to play dirty. I watched my life shrink into notification bubbles and lawyer emails. I hit my lowest point when HR at my workplace called me into a meeting. Someone from Alex's fan base had used images and false claims to contact my boss. They wanted answers about my character. They asked if I had ever used company time to boost Alex's posts. I sat in a fluorescent room and felt smaller than I'd ever felt in my life. My mother, who'd been fielding calls from family friends, cried on the phone and told me to come home. I packed a bag and left Alex's apartment that night. The place we shared felt unlivable. The camera had taken the life, and I had to step out of what remained. In the quiet after everything, I realized anger wouldn't fix the mess, nor would passive outrage. I needed a plan that didn't involve fighting on his platform. I needed real proof and an actual person who could help me get it out without getting buried. I reached out to Sam, a journalist friend I trusted. He'd covered a couple of influencer scandals and knew how to get a platform's archival copies. He told me the reflection screenshot was critical, but alone, it could be called fabricated. We needed metadata, records, and witnesses. Mia sifted through the re-upload chain and found several archive copies on different servers. Sam contacted a lawyer willing to subpoena the platform for the original stream file and the timestamp chat logs. It felt like moving through molasses, but every little document we got added a layer of unimpeachable proof. At the same time, I turned off every public-facing account and stopped engaging. I hired a therapist, something I'd been putting off. I sat in that safe, boring room and unpeeled the parts of me that had been sold as content. I realized I had been complicit in normalizing performance over privacy. That didn't excuse him, but it was part of how I'd let things get to this point. Therapy wasn't a magic fix, but it was a strategy. It helped me think in terms of steps instead of explosions. Weeks later, Sam published a piece that contained the archived original stream, the reflection screenshot, and the chat logs between Alex and his manager. It included direct quotes from the manager admitting the plan to manufacture the breakup to spike engagement. The article also pulled together witness accounts, neighbors who'd heard the live, fans who'd saved the stream, and the sponsor who had seen the manager's pitch. The story went beyond gossip. It showed process. It showed fabrication. The reaction was ugly and fast. Alex's sponsor list melted. An audio clip leaked of him begging a friend to take the fall and claim he was hacked. His agent dropped him. The people who'd been harassing me retreated when major outlets confirmed the same documents we had. The legal threats against me evaporated because his team suddenly had much bigger fires to put out. But the victory didn't feel like fireworks. Firing his agent and losing sponsors didn't fix the nights I'd spent afraid or the way my mother had cried. It didn't give me back the weeks of downtime or the clients who'd ghosted me. It did give me something more important: control over my narrative again. The climactic moment came when Alex showed up at a small industry event to defend himself in front of a crowd of professionals. I didn't go to gloat. I went to set a boundary. I stood 5 feet from him in the lobby and handed a manila envelope to his publicist, the same woman who'd once given me makeup tips before shoots. Inside were printed pages, the original archive stream, the manager chat, the sponsor emails rescinding deals. I told the publicist I was done being someone else's story. I asked for a statement acknowledging that the breakup had been a staged moment for engagement and that Alex owed me a public apology not crafted by a PR team. She looked at me like I was asking for magic. He tried to talk over me, attempted to pivot back to victimhood. People in the room started pulling out phones. He didn't get his triumphant moment. Sponsors in suits exchanged looks. Within 24 hours, a major brand announced it was reconsidering partnerships with anyone who manufactured personal attacks for clicks. The consequences were messy but real. Alex's follower count shrank. He lost money. He lost his sheen. I lost some work too, but not all. The professional contacts who mattered, the ones with ethics, stood by me. More important, I had my life back from the camera. I blocked him on everything. I stopped opening news links about him. I kept therapy appointments. I reconnected with Mia, with my sister, with friends who hadn't been performative. We went out for coffee. We laughed at stupid things. We learned to not make everything content. 6 months later, I moved into a small place with a balcony and a plant that refuses to die. I stopped posting my personal life. I still work in media, but I set strict rules. No filming without consent. No sharing other people's pain for views. My phone still buzzes, life still happens on screens, but I let the ring go to voicemail more often. What the camera caught that night was twofold. It caught his lie and the reflection that proved it. But more than that, it caught the moment I decided I wasn't going to let someone else dictate my story. He tried to make me the villain for his clicks. The reflection blew his script apart, and the rest of the fallout taught me how to build new rules. I don't want to be famous anymore. I want to be honest. I want boundaries that aren't negotiable. The camera is quieter now. When it turns on, I decide what it sees. And if anyone asks about the breakup live, I tell them what happened. He posted our breakup live to get clicks. The camera reflected his manager's messages, and the world saw what he didn't want them to. Then I changed the subject, because I'm done letting his narrative be the headline of my life.